The Israel-Hamas conflict took a very wrong and serious turn on October 7, 2023, when Hamas launched a preemptive attack on Israel. They launched hundreds of missiles on Israel, claiming almost 1,300 Jewish casualties, and it has been a bloodbath ever since. Israel has launched an air and ground offensive on Gaza in order to eradicate Hamas, but the Iranian organization Hezbollah has joined the conflict. It has then been speculated that Iran is about to start a World War III. How and why? Well, let's discuss this. But before we discuss the Iran involvement, let's dial back a bit and figure out what happened on October 7. On the fateful day of October 7, 2023, an armed battle erupted between Israel and Hamas-led Palestinian militants from Gaza, following the latter's multi-pronged invasion of southern Israel. Following the clearance of Hamas, Israel replied with a major aerial bombardment campaign against Gaza sites, followed by a large-scale ground invasion of Gaza. The violence has killed over 1,200 Israelis, largely civilians, and over 11,000 Palestinians, mostly women and children. The current conflict is fifth in the Gaza-Israel conflict, which is the part of the larger Israeli-Palestinian conflict. On the morning of October 7th, Palestinian militant groups fired a barrage of rockets towards Israel, while over 3,000 militants broke the Gaza-Israel border, attacked Israeli military bases and civilians in a series of atrocities, including one at a music festival. Over 200 Israeli civilians and soldiers, as well as several foreign nationals, were kidnapped and carried to Gaza. Hamas claimed responsibility for the incident, citing the closure of Gaza, ongoing settlements, Israeli sector violence, and limitations on transportation between Israel and Gaza. The following day, Israel declared war on Gaza, launching the most serious military escalation in the region since the Yom Kippur War. Its lengthy aerial assault of Gaza dropped 6,000 bombs in the first 6 days of battle. In addition to cutting off water, fuel, food, and electricity, the attacks were coordinated with a total siege of the Gaza Strip. Israel requested 1.1 million Gazians to leave northern Gaza, but Hamas urged inhabitants to stay put. Israel launched a ground assault on the Gaza Strip on October 27, which is still ongoing. Because of the large number of civilian deaths, both Israel and Hamas have been accused of war crimes. According to the UN, over 1.5 million Palestinians, or more than 70% of Gaza's population, as well as over 200,000 Israelis, have been internally displaced. In Gaza, there is a severe lack of drinking water, food, and fuel. Now that Iran has been directly involved in this crisis, experts fear that it would lead to serious consequences. Ian Bremmer, renowned political scientist and founder of the Eurasia Group, stated today that the ongoing conflict between Israel and Gaza is expected to worsen with the creation of new fronts. In an exclusive interview, Ian Bremmer told NDTV that if Iran becomes actively involved in the battle, it might spark a bigger, more destructive Middle East conflict. It is quite possible that Hezbollah, which is much more military capable and supported by Iran, could get directly involved in the fighting, he went on to say. He also stated that Israel's imminent ground assault on Gaza will have far-reaching global consequences. There will be a ground war. It's a horrible idea for a variety of reasons. It will kill a large number of Palestinian civilians in a short period of time, or without allowing the Palestinians to flee. There will be a global backlash, he said. When asked if he expected the Israel-Palestine issue to escalate into a regional confrontation, Mr. Bremmer answered that it is not World War III, but the concept that it will be limited within Gaza is far too fictitious. This is not World War III. The Russians and Chinese will not become actively involved in this conflict. However, the idea that it will remain contained within Gaza is too far fictitious, he continued. We have already seen drone strikes in the region against US military bases and equipment. Hezbollah strikes have caused some squabbles along the Israel's northern border. Some minor invasions may become more serious. Hundreds of Palestinians have been killed in the West Bank. Israeli settlers have not yet been involved in that violence, but it could easily spread, claiming the founder of the Eurasia Group. Mr. Bremmer stated that the economic impact of the Israel-Gaza conflicts is negligible unless Iran gets involved. The Russian invasion of Ukraine had far-reaching economic consequences. In Israel's case, it's a tiny economy, he explained. He believes Iran will have far-reaching consequences if it becomes directly involved in the conflict. Strikes on Iran could potentially lead to a major oil crisis that would drive the entire world into recession, Bremmer said in a statement. He claimed that the war, the Biden administration's second significant foreign policy problem, is a tremendous distraction for the United States. This ties Joe Biden to leaders he does not like or trust in private. Volodymyr Zelensky and Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel, who has threatened to destroy Hamas after the Palestinian organization conducted an unprecedented raid from Gaza on October 7th, murdering at least 1,400 people, the majority of which were civilians who were shot, disfigured, or burned to death. In response, Israeli bombs have destroyed entire city blocks in Gaza in preparation for impending ground invasion. According to the Hamas-run Health Ministry, 4,137 Palestinians, mostly civilians, were killed in the onslaught. Now, let's talk about Lebanon. Weeks of fighting on both sides of the Lebanese-Israeli border have increased, with rising losses on both sides and a war of words fueling fears of a wider battle between Israel and the Iran-backed Lebanese organization Hezbollah. According to the first responder organization linked with the Hezbollah-allied Amal movement, 2 persons were killed by Israeli strikes in South Lebanon on Monday. On the Israeli side, a Hezbollah missile attack on Sunday injured many employees of the Israel Electric Company, and 1 died as a result of his injuries on Monday, according to the company. Since its Palestinian allies, Hamas, declared war on Israel on October 7th, Hezbollah has been exchanging fire with Israeli forces. The clashes are the bloodiest on the border since Israel and Hezbollah went to war for a month in 2006. So far, more than 70 Hezbollah members and 10 civilians have been murdered in Lebanon, while Israel has killed 10 individuals, including 7 soldiers. Thousands more have fled the shelling on both sides. Violence has previously been mostly contained inside a belt of area on either side of the boundary. Israel has stated that it does not want war on its northern front as it strives to crush Hamas in the Gaza Strip, while Hezbollah has stated that its attacks are intended to keep Israeli forces busy while avoiding all-out war. The US has stated that it does not want conflict to spread throughout the region and has dispatched 2 aircraft carriers to the area to dissuade Iran from becoming involved. But that hasn't stopped Hezbollah and Israel from intensifying their rhetoric. On Saturday, Hezbollah leader Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah stated the Lebanon front would remain active with a quantitative improvement in the group's operations. On Monday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu cautioned Hezbollah not to expand its operations. "We're playing with fire here. Fire will be met with even more powerful fire. They should not test us because we have only demonstrated a small portion of our strength," he stated in a statement. When asked what Israel's red line was at the news conference on Saturday, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant stated, "If you hear that we have attacked Beirut, you will understand that Nasrallah has crossed that line." Lebanon's temporary Prime Minister Najib Mikati told Al Jazeera on Sunday that Hezbollah's rationalism has so far reassured him. "We are preserving self-restraint, and it's up to Israel to stop its ongoing provocations in South Lebanon," said the Prime Minister. Lebanon spent years rebuilding after the 2006 war. It cannot afford another one now that the country is 4 years into a financial crisis that has impoverished many Lebanese and paralyzed the state. Hezbollah has long been seen as Israel's most serious border danger. The 2006 war in Lebanon killed 1,200 persons, largely civilian, and 157 Israelis, mostly troops. And certainly no one wants to see another conflict break out on the north of the Israel border in earnest, he told reporters in Seoul, adding that it was difficult to foresee what would happen. "I can definitely see a wider escalation," said Mohanan Hage Ali of the Carnegie Middle East Center. "But I'm not sure about a full conflict that nobody wants. Nobody wants one on one hand, and I think US is playing a strong role in keeping things under control," he told reporters. It looks like Israel and Netanyahu are adamant about bringing Hamas to justice once and for all, but he's continuously overlooking the fact that he's spilling the blood of thousands of Palestinians along the way. Let's hope that this horrific bloodshed comes to an end sooner than later. Thank you for watching. If you like what you just saw, please like and subscribe to the channel because it helps a lot. Put your suggestions down in the comment section so we know what you guys want to see next. Till then, stay safe.